A consultant I know built an AI workflow that produced a 10-minute report in seconds. Then she spent 40 minutes checking every claim before she could send it. The automation worked exactly as designed and still failed to save time. Have you ever built something like that? A fast system that creates a new job, checking what it missed, what it invented, and what you can safely show a customer? I'm Ace. Good to have you here. Let me ask you something. What if the better AI business is not the one that removes you from every step? What if it lets I prepare the work while you approve the parts that carry real consequences? That is the Reviewable AI service. Here's the thing. Customers usually do not want artificial intelligence. They want a useful result. A local business might want 5 worthwhile partnership opportunities each week. A marketing team might want content ideas based on real customer questions. A support team might want routine replies drafted and unusual cases separated for attention. They are buying fewer missed opportunities, clearer decisions, and work they can trust. I can gather information, organize it, and produce a first draft. You provide context, judgment, and final approval. That combination is slower than blind automation, but often much faster than doing everything manually, and much safer than sending raw machine output. Start with the customer's outcome, not the tool. Do not begin with which model should I use. Begin with what should the customer receive and what will they do with it. Make the result observable and repeatable. For example, every Tuesday, a professional service business receives a short content brief with 5 relevant topics, source links, and suggested angles. For every afternoon, a support team receives a queue of draft responses with complaints and exceptions clearly separated. The outcome gives the workflow somewhere to go. Without it, automation becomes a tour of features. Then map the work. I use 4 simple buckets: gather, transform, decide, and deliver. Gather is collecting information from approved places: a spreadsheet, a questionnaire, a public page, or an internal knowledge base. Transform is where AI often shines. It can summarize notes, remove duplicates, group questions, or turn rough material into a consistent draft. Decide is different. Which opportunity is actually relevant? Is the source credible? Does this response need escalation? Does the recommendation fit this particular customer? Finally, deliver means placing the approved result into the format and channel the customer expects. Think about that for a moment. The map shows you where speed is useful and where accountability begins. Imagine the weekly content brief. AI gathers customer questions and approved industry sources. It groups similar questions, suggests titles, and creates a first draft. Then you check the claims, remove weak sources, and ask whether the topic fits the company's actual expertise. You also look for language that makes promises the business should not make. The customer receives 5 reviewed opportunities, each with a reason, a suggested format, and the sources used. Notice what changed. Not necessarily the model. The deliverable became clearer. You are no longer saying, here is some AI output. You are saying, here is a reviewed set of opportunities that fits your business and supports your next decision. That clarity also keeps you from overpromising. You are not selling guaranteed rankings, guaranteed leads, or guaranteed revenue. You are selling a defined process that produces a useful, reviewed input. Try describing it in one sentence. I help this type of customer receive this reviewed deliverable on this schedule so they can make this next decision. If you cannot say what arrives, when it arrives, and what it helps the customer do, the offer probably needs more work. It sounds less dramatic than let AI grow your business while you sleep. Good. It is more accurate, and accuracy is a competitive advantage. Now imagine that content brief is almost ready to send. Where exactly do you stop and check it? That stopping point is the review gate. It should not mean vaguely looking over the work. Decide in advance what must be checked. Missing or conflicting information does not get quietly filled in. It gets flagged. Every important factual claim may need a source. A report's number should be compared with the original data. A customer reply involving a complaint, refund, safety concern, or exception should move into a human queue. That sounds obvious. It is also where many systems go wrong. Keep the review practical. Put uncertain items and high-impact decisions at the top of the queue. Give each item a visible status: drafted, checked, approved, or returned for revision. Then use a short checklist. Is it complete? Are the important claims supported? Does it match the customer's instructions? Is anything too certain or misleading? Are sensitive details handled appropriately? 5 questions that people actually follow are more valuable than a 50-page procedure nobody opens. The review gate is not an embarrassment or proof that I failed. It is part of the product. The customer is paying for the checked result, not merely for the first draft. Take local business opportunity research. I might collect public information about events, nearby organizations, or relevant publications and arrange it in a table. You still confirm that each opportunity is real, current, and connected to the client's goals. You can label entries verified, needs confirmation, or not suitable. That small detail changes the experience. Instead of a confident-looking pile of possibilities, the customer receives a prioritized list with visible uncertainty. And if something goes wrong, you can trace it. Was the source weak? Was the instruction unclear? Did the reviewer skip a check? A reviewable workflow gives you a way to improve instead of simply apologizing and starting over. There is a balance here. If every low-risk formatting change requires a full investigation, you have not created leverage. You have created a slow editing service with extra software. Let AI move quickly through sorting, transcription, formatting, and first-pass summaries. Review recommendations with sources and a checklist. Keep direct human judgment around high-impact decisions. Some decisions should not be automated at all, especially when they involve sensitive personal information, financial consequences, health-related choices, legal interpretation, or consent. The question is not, can the model produce an answer? The question is, what happens if that answer is wrong, and who has the expertise to approve it? At this point, you have a workflow and a quality check. But what does the customer actually buy? Not access to a language model. They buy a recurring deliverable, a reviewed weekly content plan, a customer response queue ready for approval, a short opportunity brief with sources and priorities. That distinction gives you boundaries. Specify what information the client provides, what you produce, how often it arrives, how many revisions are included, and what falls outside the service. Otherwise, every request becomes custom work, and your margin disappears one exception at a time. Say the offer is a reviewed weekly content plan. The client sends 3 updates: what they are promoting, which customer questions came up, and any changes to their services. Your workflow gathers sources, organizes themes, drafts ideas, and then you review relevance, evidence, and tone. The client receives 6 opportunities, a suggested format, and a note about anything to verify before publication. You can measure the time, improve the templates, and eventually turn parts of the process into software or a digital product. But do not begin with the platform. Begin with a small result you can deliver consistently.
And explain the human contribution plainly. AI-assisted research and organization, followed by human source checks, relevance review, and final editing.
You can test an offer in a week without building a complicated application. First, choose one customer type and one outcome. Then, talk with a potential buyer or someone who already does the work. Ask what they collect, where delays happen, and which mistakes are expensive or embarrassing. Next, run the workflow manually with AI assistance. Track gathering time, drafting time, corrections, and customer communication. Keep a correction log. Every repeated correction Tells you to improve the inputs, the instructions, the source requirements, or the checklist. Then show the result to the buyer, adjust the boundaries, and offer a small paid pilot. Paid matters because polite interest is not the same as value. During that pilot, watch 4 signals: total delivery time, number of corrections, what the customer actually uses, and what they request outside the package. That last one protects you from accidental customization. If everyone wants a different format, source list, schedule, and level of analysis, narrow the offer. If several buyers want the same result, you may have the beginning of a system. Let's connect the dots. The workflow is not validated because a model produced something impressive. It is validated when a real person finds a reviewed deliverable useful, pays for it, and can explain which decision it helps them make. A few boundaries matter. Do not send unnecessary personal or confidential information into a third-party tool. Remove identifying details where possible, and understand how the tools handle data. Require sources when sources are appropriate, and compare important numbers with original records. Make clear what you review, what the customer approves, and what the service does not guarantee. Also, avoid building the offer around one model or software brand. Tools change. A dependable process can adapt. What you are building is not a magic automation. It is a quality system that can become more efficient as you learn which sources work, which errors repeat, and which cases should always be escalated. So start small. Choose one outcome your customer already understands. Map it into gathering, transforming, deciding, and delivering. Let AI prepare the lower risk work. Keep human approval around evidence, relevance, exceptions, and consequences. Create a short checklist, a visible queue, and a defined package with a schedule, input requirements, revision limits, and boundaries. Then run the workflow, measure the corrections, and test the paid pilot. You do not need a massive audience or a promise of effortless income. You need one useful result, delivered consistently, with quality you can explain. Before you go, write down one process you or a customer repeat every week. Maybe it is preparing a content brief, sorting inquiries, researching opportunities, or organizing feedback. Ask, what has to be gathered? What can be transformed safely? Where does judgment matter? And what would the finished deliverable look like? Do not try to automate everything today. Find the useful outcome AI can prepare while you remain the final editor. Subscribe if you want more practical systems for using AI without handing your judgment over to a tool. Think about that for a moment. What useful outcome could AI prepare while I remain the final editor? Well, that's enough to think about for today. Appreciate you spending a few minutes with me. I'll catch you in the next one.